Hello, welcome everyone that's just joining us. We're going to get started here in just a minute or two, so please hang tight. Good afternoon to everyone that's just joined us. We'll get started in just a minute or so. All right, good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for joining us for our Career Connections webinar. My name is Brent Giangregorio, and I'll be your host today. We're very excited to partner with Sarasota Memorial Hospital today, so we appreciate you joining us. Before we get started, just a few housekeeping items. Today's session is being recorded and will be available on our YouTube channel within 48 hours. As well, we will send you the link to the recording along with the presentations to everyone who is registered for today's session. Because this is a webinar, all lines are muted, but you can ask questions using the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. As we move through the presentation, feel free to type your questions in the Q&A box. We'll leave about 10 minutes at the end of the session for questions. Okay, so for our speakers today, we've got Judy Cavallaro, Director of Women's and Operative Services. We've got Corey Tile, Senior Talent Acquisition Advisor, Human Resources. Kristen Young, Clinical Manager, Perioperative Services, and Jennifer Nichols, Certified Surgical Technologist, After we'll do our Q&A, and after the Q&A, and if everyone could stay on for 1 extra minute for a survey, that will pop up on your screen. We would really appreciate it. Your feedback is really important as we use these surveys to help us with future webinars and programming. Before I turn this over to our presenters, I just want to take a few minutes and tell you about the Women's Resource Center. The Women's Resource Center has been empowering women in Sarasota and Manatee Counties since 1979. We have 3 centers across both counties, one in Bradenton, one in Sarasota, and one in Venice. We serve over 1,700 clients a year and deliver over 5,000 hours of programming. The goal of the Women's Resource Center is to engage, educate, enrich, and empower women of all generations. And we really are a place women can call when they're not sure where to turn to for help. To do that, we offer our clients resource advising, we offer mental health counseling, we offer career services, educational workshops, programs, and scholarships, as well as legal and financial consultation and education. All of this is offered at low or no cost to our clients. Since this webinar is about careers, I'll talk a little bit more about our career services. Our career coaching program offers individual assistance in preparing for a successful job search. That can include career discovery, resume preparation, interviewing skills, networking techniques, and much more. Additionally, we offer one-on-one computer tutoring, so we can provide help navigating online job sites, help uploading resumes, help with LinkedIn, and help with just computer basics and Microsoft Office applications. We currently have 3 career closets, one in each of our locations, where we have free clothing and accessories for women who are attending job interviews or have just secured a job and need work attire. We also serve clients that may need clothing for whatever reason, so doesn't necessarily have to be related to a career. And currently, our career closets are open Monday through Thursday from 11 to 3 at each one of our locations. Again, if you'd like to ask a question, click on the box labeled QA at the bottom of your screen, and you can ask questions there. Again, we reserved about 10 minutes at the end of the presentation for a Q&A session. As a reminder, this webinar is being recorded, so you can watch the replay in case you missed any information. We'll send the replay via email in 24 to 48 hours to everyone who registered, and include any flyers, presentation, and any other materials from the presenters. And lastly, as I mentioned earlier, when the webinar ends, you'll see a survey on your screen. We ask that you please complete the survey so we can understand how we can improve. And we just thank you so much for attending today. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Judy.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having us here today. My name is Judy Cavallero. I'm the Director of Women's and Operative Services here at Sarasota Memorial on the Venice campus. Let me tell you a little bit about myself and my career path. I've been a nurse for 35 years, which sounds like I'm really old, but I worked at Sarasota Memorial for 25 years. It's been a fabulous organization. I've had a number of different roles at this hospital system. I've learned a ton. And most recently, I was part of the opening team that planned and opened the Venice campus back in November of 2021. It was an amazing journey. I lead a number of procedural areas. Perioperative services, or better known possibly as surgical services, is a number of my departments. Those include pre-admission testing, which is where patients come well before their day of surgery to prepare for surgery. I've got a pre-op area, which is where patients come on day of surgery. And then the operating room, which is obviously where they go have their procedure. And then the recovery room, better known as PACU, as well as the cardiovascular area. So I've got the cath lab. I've got endo, I've got a department called CVD, which is where you come to have ultrasound studies of your heart, nuclear medicine, which is another procedural area where folks come in for various testing. And then I've also got labor and delivery. So women come in to have their babies there. So I've got quite a variety of areas. And in order for me to accomplish everything that I need to do on a daily basis, I've got to have a huge team of people. And those people have a variety of roles. And I know today we're going to talk about a couple of those roles, but I really want you to know that in order for the hospital to run 24/7, 7 days a week, it takes all of us. And we all wear different hats, and everybody kind of gets their foot in the door. And then from there, the future kind of blossoms and other, doors open, and you continue to grow and get involved in different things. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later in the program today. But with that said, I'd like to introduce a few other team members that are here today. Kristen Young. Kristen, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kristen Young. I'm one of the clinical managers in Judy's many departments. I manage the pre-op area, the pre-admission testing, and the recovery room currently. I previously was a surgical tech for many years, and that's one of the roles we're going to talk about. And I'll talk a little bit more about how I got into this wonderful position, and I will turn it over to Jennifer Nickel.
Hi, my name's Jen, and I just graduated from scrub tech school, so I'm currently an intern. And I know we'll talk about it later, but I kind of have worked my way up a little bit. But again, we'll talk about that later.
Hi, I'm Corey Tile. I'm the Senior Talent Acquisition Advisor for our Venice campus, and I work in our Human Resources office. So I would be the one that could assist you if you have questions about what jobs might be a good fit for you, or if your resume is really showing your skill set. I could talk to you about what certain terminology means on a job description that you may not know about. Really, any kind of question that you have related to finding employment here at our campus. And all of us are at our Venice campus. And that's what we're going to be speaking to you mainly about today. So our hospital began in 1925. It was only 32 beds at the time with just 10 employees, and really came about as a dream to serve our community. And that same philosophy still holds true almost 100 years later. We are a not-for-profit hospital. We put our patients first. So it's very different working for a community hospital than it would be for a for-profit. And I just feel so strongly that we are here to serve our local community. And we do that by serving our patients, but we also do that by holding webinars such as this to try to assist our community in finding employment, finding meaningful employment. So we started with those humble beginnings of just 10 employees, and now we have over 9,000 employees. We're the largest employer in Sarasota County. We far surpassed the school system several years ago. Our current hospital here in Venice started out with 110 beds with plans for expansion. We had no idea that on day one we were needing to keep building because we were full from the very first day we opened. So in April of next year, we will have an extra 102 beds to serve our community. And we will continue to grow here. We just want to make sure that everyone who needs our help gets our help. Our main campus in Sarasota has continued to grow as well. They have over 900 beds with a new oncology tower, and Bayside Behavioral Health, which has been the behavioral health services in Sarasota, has a whole new building coming as well. We have a brand new education building coming as well. And in 2025, many of you will find some new construction going on in Northport. As you drive that way, we'll have a new hospital beginning in 2025 with plans to open probably 3 years after. So we are continuing to grow, and we need your help to do that.
Thank you, Corey.
So I'd like to talk to you a little bit about some of the titles of positions, and we can go into more detail later, but just so that you can sort of see what these different things mean. Those first 5 in the grouping: sterile processing assistant, instrument technician, instrument specialist, operating room technician, and certified surgical technologist, are all in the perioperative services area. Those are all areas that we would love to hone in on today. And we're going to do that with some further slides. But I also wanted you to see the names of some other positions that might just be a great foot in the door today. We have environmental aid positions, which are housekeeping type positions. This place would shut down without our housekeepers. That is infection control. That's what keeps everybody safe. That's when a patient leaves, they completely turn that room around to make sure that our next patient doesn't pick up any germs from the previous patient. And so that our family members can be safe while they're sitting on the couches and supporting their family member. We have patient transporters, which is a really fun job. You're moving patients from point A to point B within the facility. It's all inside the hospital. You're moving them on a stretcher. It's a lot of time on your feet. You'll get your steps in during your workday, and you'll be the person that makes sure that our patient has a listening ear as they're maybe nervous about going to the x-ray or going to a surgery. You can be the one to take them there and help them feel calm and at ease. Patient safety attendants, that's a wonderful job that we have here, where we have somebody one-on-one with a patient who may be at risk for a variety of reasons. They may be a safety risk for falling, And so we want to make sure that someone's eyes are on them at all times. They may be struggling with dementia and may, not remember where they are and need somebody to keep them calm. So there's a variety of reasons why they might need an extra set of hands and eyes in the room with them. And that would be a wonderful first step in the door. You don't need a lot of background to do that. You just need a kind soul and good watchful eyes. A phlebotomist role is also a good entry-level position. We do require that you either have 3 months of phlebotomy experience or a certification in that area, but that's a certification that only takes a few weeks to get. So that's a good one to get started in if you really want to do that hands-on patient care. That's blood drawing. So you're going and moving around the hospital and drawing blood from patients who need a blood draw. Last but not least is a patient care technician. Those do require a CNA license, but also just to let you know, that is something that can be done very quickly. And we can talk about it if that's something that you're interested in with the Q&A, but we do have a program where we can send you to school for your CNA license. We pay for your school and we would pay for you to go to school, which is unheard of, while you're working here. So if those are things that you're interested in during the Q&A, I can help you with that, or you can reach out to me directly after the presentation. I will let you know that Sarasota Memorial prides itself on having only the best employees, the most kind, conscientious employees. We do a criminal background check. I can speak with you about that if there's something that you're concerned about. And we also do drug screens prior to a hire.
Wonderful. Thank you, Corey. And I'd just like to add, the entry-level positions Corey talked about, the bottom 5, we have done a previous webinar on as well, which you can find on our YouTube channel. We'll link that webinar when we send out the recording of this, so you can watch both webinars and see all the variety of positions that are available at SMH.
Thank you.
So I'm Kristen again, and just to give you a little bit more of my background, when I graduated from high school, I wanted to go into the medical field. I knew I wanted to be a nurse, but I was 17 at the time, and you had to be 18 to go into nursing school. So I wound up working at a podiatrist office, and he kind of showed me the ropes and got me into the medical area, and he was doing minor procedures, and I knew nothing about keeping things sterile and keeping it safe for the patients. So he took me to a surgery center where I observed, and on that day I met a surgical tech, and she said to me, well, you can go to school to be a surgical tech and you can just do surgery all day. And I thought, wow, that would be amazing. So at the time there was only one school in Tampa, and I went to school, and I was a surgical tech for many years. And then I kind of worked my way up, and now I've gone to nursing school, and now I'm managing departments. So there's lots of growth, and we were just talking earlier that once you're a surgical tech, you're always a surgical tech. It's good stuff. So a little bit about the surgical tech role. It is a 1-year program. They do have some 2-year programs, but here in our area, we have 2 or 3 schools that are 1-year programs. So you can get the education in a very short time. They're usually full-time positions, so it would be, Monday through Friday. This role is going to look like a very busy, you're moving through your procedure, you're starting it, you're working with the physician, you're working with the nurses, you're working with the anesthesiologist, and you're working right alongside of them, getting ready for the procedure. So you're going to get your case ready, you have a preference card for whatever surgery you're doing, you're going to make sure you have everything you might need, you're going to be able to anticipate any needs that might come up during the procedure so that you can have the nurse get what you need. Everything is sterile. You can see here on the bottom picture, there's a, that's kind of our sterile field where the blue table is with the instruments. So once you put on your gown and gloves, you're sterile. And the main goal for this role is to maintain sterility and keep the patient safe. You're going to make sure that you're keeping your instruments maintained. You're going to be able to, you're, if you, um, sorry, I lost my train of thought here. If the physician needs something else in addition, you're going to know what tray it's in. So you have familiarity with all of the instruments and the trays that they're located in. And you're with the patient from the time they come in the room to the time that they go into the recovery area. And then when that case is done, you clean up, get everything organized. The room comes in, everybody comes into the room, they clean the room, get it decontaminated, and then you move to your next procedure, which you have a schedule, and you'll set up, and it might be the same procedure that day, it might be a different procedure. It might be with the same physician, it might be a different physician. You have to be very well-rounded with all of the, we call them service lines. So it might be a general procedure, it might be an orthopedic procedure, maybe it's with a urologist. So you have to be very well-rounded with all of those procedures and the anatomy that goes along with them. You're going to, things that make a good surgical technologist are really attention to detail. You have to be patient-focused, forward-thinking, being able to anticipate. I think a big part of the role is when you've done many procedures and you've worked with this physician often, you kind of get to know each other and you know what he's going to anticipate. So you're thinking, oh yeah, last time I was doing that procedure, this is what he asked me for when that happened. So you're really kind of using your memory and your skill from your previous procedures to make that procedure go really smoothly. And there's a little meme that I saw just the other day that, you know, beside every surgeon is a good surgical tech. So they can't do it without him. And trust me, the physicians love our surgical techs. You know, they learn to get used to them. You know, they'll ask for her by her name. You know, can she be in my procedure today? Because this is a tough one. You want to make sure it goes well. And then the one thing I do really want to emphasize with both of these roles that we're going to talk about is the main goal for both of them is to make sure that the patient has a safe passage, that they come out of this procedure being able to recover and return to their normal way of life, and hopefully, you know, have a better outcome, make sure that they don't have any infections or any additional injuries. So you're really being diligent and making sure that you're scanning everything that's going on to make sure that nothing happens to the patient and you keep them safe.
I would say, like, as a surgical tech, you're the patient's advocate. So, like, you always want to make sure that you're keeping, you know, the OR sterile, everything's sterile. If you ever see anything that seems off, you would be the one to speak up. Because, like I said, the best outcome for the patient is what it's all about. So.
Yeah, and you have to be a good communicator. You have to be able to speak up. You know, maybe you're not sure, you know, like Jen, she might be new to this role, but she still has to be willing to say, wait, is that right? And ask somebody the question. You can't be shy. You have to be able to speak up on the patient's behalf, because you might be seeing something that somebody else isn't seeing. So you have to be vocal. I think we can go on to the next one.
Sure. Did we miss a slide here?
Yeah, I think so. I think the yeah, SPD. One more.
Oh. I think maybe it didn't make it in the presentation.
Uh-oh.
What
I
was
can
it?
talk about
Was
it.
there one before that one? It did come before that. Oh. Well,
That's
can-
all right.
We can just talk about it.
Yeah, we'll just talk about the other role.
So the other role that we mentioned was the sterile processing department. And this role is really, I would say I was trying to think of a good analogy. It's really the backbone of the operating room. We cannot do procedures without this department. So they're kind of in the background doing everything, and it is a very busy department with lots of moving parts, very complex things going on, but they're not on the front lines, so they kind of, people don't know a lot about the role, and that's why we thought it would be helpful to bring that out to everyone. It is a role that you're able to kind of have an entry level in. I think our entry level sterile processing assistant is a high school diploma or GED, and then we do the training. And so that role is, there's multiple rooms in that department, and so so Jennifer would bring her instruments from her procedure from a case. She'd take it into the decontamination area. So there's a team of people in there, and they're decontaminizing all the instruments. They're opening each one up. They're making sure that everything is clean. They're putting them through an ultrasonic cleaner. They're putting them through a washer sterilizer. Many moving parts, but again, attention to detail to make sure that, there's not any broken instruments or nothing might have got bent in the tray. And so we're keeping everything as working and in good condition as possible. And then you would take those instruments, they'd put them through some machines, they'd bring them to the other side. Once they dry and they're decontaminated, then we call it the processing. So they'll put all the trays back together. They'll have a list of what's in each tray. And so they're counting each of those to make sure that they have the correct amount, that they're not damaged, that we have everything that we need in those trays. Because when she goes to open her instruments and she's doing the procedure, she needs to know that everything is in that tray. Then they go to, once they put them all together and they organize the tray, then it goes into a sterilizer. So we have several big sterilizers. They use steam and they go through a whole process to get them cleaned and sterile. And we have lots of quality items that we use to make sure that they're not contaminated, that they are truly sterile. And then once they take them out and they dry, then we have a ginormous area where all the instruments are stored and they're cataloged so that they have different areas. And then someone would go through and they'd pull all of the preference parts for tomorrow procedures, and then they would pull everything that we need for instruments on that tray, pull all the supplies, have the case card, it would be labeled, and then when Jennifer goes to do her procedure, she'd be able to pull her case card for that case. She would have everything she needs. So within the sterile processing area, like I mentioned, the entry level is the sterile processing assistant. We do have a career ladder in each of these roles. So you could move up to an instrument tech, and then you can move up to an instrument specialist. They have purchasing specialists, they have supervisors, they have leads, a manager. And so there's lots of room for growth within each of those within each of those roles. What's going to be very important in this role, again, the attention to detail. You're paying attention. You might have a lot of things coming at the same time, but it's really focusing and making sure that we're not cutting corners, we're taking all the right steps. Lots of quality and quality assurance things that we do in each of these steps of the process to make sure that the trays are sterile. I think a good candidate for this role would be attention to detail, integrity, able to multitask, and again, communication is really key with these roles, and speaking up if there's something that you're concerned about, so that we can get it fixed.
Thank you, Kristen. Oh, go ahead, please, Jennifer.
Level entry-level positions. So if you are interested in becoming, say, a CST or a scrub tech, just an entry-level position in SPD or sterile processing would be so helpful for entry into the CST position, because you get to see all the instrumentation, all the background of how that works and the process of that. And that is super helpful for becoming a CST. So just
Fantastic. And everyone, again, I apologize. We were missing a slide here. So Kristen, I appreciate you kind of winging it without a reference here. That was my fault in forgetting to put a slide in there. But when we send out the recording for this, we will make sure we have that missing slide included for everyone to view. All right, well, moving right along.
So why a career in perioperative services, or let's just say surgery, right? I think we touched upon a few different roles within perioperative services, but I will tell you there are so many more. Kristen described how we process our instrumentation, and that department in and of itself is like a little factory. There's 4 big areas within that department that have dedicated processes that have to be followed. And so not only processing instruments from today's surgeries, they're also looking ahead at what's been booked and making sure that we have enough items on the shelf, if you will, to be able to perform those future surgeries. So there's a number of different roles that are working in parallel, really, to get the job done. So if we kind of water that down to just one single surgery and how we prepare for that, it starts at the time of the surgeon booking the case or scheduling the case with a patient. And sometimes that's like, a month from now, so even at that time, you've got people touching, the preparation process for that surgery that we're, planning for 4 weeks from now. So point being, it takes a lot of people to get the job done. And, I want to just elaborate a little bit on what Kristen said about, communication and how important that is. Within the team, we've got a number of different skill sets. So, when people say, oh, I work at a hospital, most people think you're either a doctor or you're a nurse, but there are so many other roles. And it's important that the work environment is really committed to allowing people to communicate, collaborate, work together. And I will tell you, that's one of our mission here at the hospital, to not only be patient-centered, but also promote an environment so teams can do their best work. And so that commitment happens every day, but it's like an expected, it's the way we're going to do business. It's what's the environment has to be like in order for us to be able to do our best work. And so we really try to avoid this hierarchy where, maybe the surgeon's in charge and then, everybody else kind of falls in line. The housekeeper's role is so critical to making sure that, the environment is clean and free of infection. And so we need those eyes to be, on point. Just as important as, the surgeon who's performing such a critical and complex surgery. Every member of the team is valued and needed. And really, my responsibility is to make sure that I give you the environment to do your best work. And so we welcome, people of every background. The common theme that we all have to be committed to is keeping our patients safe and making sure that, we're attentive and cautious with our skill set to make sure that, we don't cause harm, that we're here doing what our mission is, which is, providing healthcare services to our community. And, that's what we're about. So if those are things that are important to you, or you want to learn more about it, because you maybe don't know about it, please take my contact. I'm happy to answer questions and really help you navigate the world of healthcare. It's a fast-paced environment. It's ever changing. When I think back of what I signed up for 35 years ago, it's nowhere near what it is today. But I love it. You know, at the end of the day, even the busiest day, I get home and I'm tired, but I feel fulfilled. I feel like I made a difference. And that's really what healthcare is about. Serving others and being able to make a difference for the patient who's coming in with an ailment and needs something fixed, and, you know, making a difference for the surgeon who, you know, is trying to take care of a number of patients, as well as the team member who's really coming in to try to do their best work. It's a really neat, dynamic, fast-paced, but very rewarding career path. So please know we're just talking about really a fraction of the opportunities that hospitals can offer you. Corey's excellent. She knows, you know, everything, the nuts and bolts of what keeps us together here. And she definitely can connect you with, you know, a leader that can help you navigate through all of this. I think, Jen, you mentioned, you know, getting your foot in the door. And really, you know, whatever that role might be, that might not be your last stop. And that's great. You know, we support that. There are so many opportunities for people to grow. And, you know, sometimes, you know, some folks really maybe, you know, clinical, you know, care isn't really their thing. But maybe, you know, you can explore other avenues. There's food and nutrition, there's registration. You know, it just takes so many different roles that I don't think people realize in order to keep the operation running for 24/7, 7 days a week. I really thank you for giving us the opportunity to kind of, you know, bring you into our world and allow us to share what we're very passionate about. And like I said earlier, if you have any questions, please take my name and number. I'm happy to help in any way I can. Thank you.
Thank you, Judy.
Okay, so we've talked to you about this great program for surgical techs. And I think many of you might be thinking, well, that would be really difficult financially. So we just want to let you know, first of all, we do work closely with the schools in our area, Suncoast Technical Center, Manatee Technical Center, and Southern Technical. And they offer you to go through the financial aid process. It's called FAFSA. Most of the people that go through that get the majority, if not all, of their tuition covered through FAFSA. So that's a wonderful program that you can then go to school free of charge. That financial aid is provided for you. It's not a loan. It is financial aid that you're being given, basically a scholarship that you're being given. This is such a critical need, and they are meeting that need by helping you go to school for free. And then here's where the really cool stuff kicks in. Then we pay you back your tuition that you didn't even have to pay. So we reimburse you for coming to work for us. From when you come and say, yes, I'll use my skill set at Sarasota Memorial, we'll give you a third of that in your very first paycheck. The next third comes at your 1-year anniversary. The next third comes at your 2-year anniversary. So 100% of that will be paid back, even though you didn't have to pay for it to begin with. It's kind of just a way of saying thank you to you. Also, currently, we are offering our surgical certified techs a $2,500 retention bonus each quarter. So that's 4 times a year for an additional $10,000 a year. And we're just working on making sure that our certified surgical techs, often called CSTs, are getting the money that they deserve for the hard work that they're doing. All right, I want to let you know that we offer every benefit under the sun. There just wasn't enough room on the slide to put them all in, but we have comprehensive medical, dental, and vision programs. There's flexible spending accounts, there's life insurance, disability insurance. There's a 403B, which is very similar to a 401k, but because we're not for profit, ours is 403B. It lines up nicely if you already have a 401k to move your money there. There's paid time off. And let me tell you, there is a lot of paid time off. I can't take enough vacation time to use it all. So I just store it up in case I have an emergency. But it's just wonderful benefits. And you're eligible for benefits on the first day of the month starting after you start. So if you were to start today, you'd be eligible on October 1. So you're just waiting a few days in order to get all of those benefits. A lot of companies make you wait 90 days or 60 days, but ours is never more than 30 days because it's always the first of the following month. And part-time and full-time employees are eligible. So even if you're only working 20 hours a week because you're in school as a CST, then you can still get benefits through us. And then there's always just nice things that they do for us. I mean, they bring food trucks around a couple times a year for us to eat a great lunch. They offer the flu vaccine clinic, and so we can get those at work rather than having to do that on a Saturday. There's just always doing nice things for us. So this is a fantastic place to work. If you have any questions about benefits, I'd be happy to answer those for you as well.
Thanks so much, Corey.
Hi, day in the life. So again, my name is Jen. I guess a little bit of background for me. So for a long time, I was a stay-at-home mom. My husband was in the military, and then he got out. So I went back to work, and I was working for a doctor's office. But I've always wanted to be in healthcare, and I put off going to school and put off going to school. So finally, about a year ago, a little over a year ago, year and a half ago, I decided to go to school for scrub tech. But this is also while I was working in the hospital. So I knew I was very intrigued by surgery, and I wanted to get there. So I applied just to get my foot in the door for EVS, which is basically like housekeeping for the hospital, but for surgical services. I knew they were opening the new hospital in Venice, and that sounded amazing. So just to get my foot in the door, I did apply for that. Got that job, even though I've never done EVS before in my life, but I knew I wanted to get my foot in the door. So I started there. From there, I worked a little bit as a clinical tech or a CT, which is somebody that helps turn over the ORs, between cases to make sure they're nice and clean, cleans up the OR in general, helps with equipment. And from there, I also did scheduling for the OR. So that was nice. I got to see the procedures and just a lot of background stuff. And then also in the beginning of opening for the hospital, I also helped out in sterile processing. So that was really great because I got to see all the instruments, how that works, like I talked about earlier. So from there, while I worked in scheduling, I also went to school as a scrub tech. So that was rough. I did do a year program, but I just want to stress that if you're determined, nothing will stop you. School was rough. I worked 40 hours a week still. I have 4 children. Not a great support system, just my husband and my kids, so nothing big. But if you're determined, you can get through it, and it's totally worth it. Scrub tech is a very rewarding job. You're in there. I feel like people don't really understand that as a scrub tech. You're not just on the sidelines. You're not just setting up a room. You're really in the surgery, helping the surgeon. You're at the field with the patient and the surgeon. So you're really in it, and it's very rewarding. But I would say, so to start your day, you come in, you usually do a morning huddle in the OR, the whole OR as a team, that kind of go over any issues that have been going on throughout the week and just keep everybody up to speed. And then from there, you want to check your assignments. There's an assignment board that has all the surgeries for the day. So you would check your assignment, what room you're in. From there, you would go straight to your room. And like we talked about earlier, there's case carts, so that have all your equipment or your trays that have your instruments in it inside the carts. So you want to check your cart, make sure you have all the instruments that you would need for that case, which should be listed on the preference card. And then you would go over all that. You would set your room up. You would open up all your trays just to get ready for the case. You also have to do a surgical scrub. So once you have everything, set out, you would go do your scrub, put your gown and gloves on, once you come into the room. Finish setting up all of your things, because now that you're sterile, you can touch these things, and get that ready. And then the nurse will go and get the patient from pre-op, bring the patient to the room. And then at that point, if you have all your things ready, you can take your gown and gloves off, and then you can help assist the nurse with the patient for positioning, just to help them out. And then you would, go do your scrub again, put your gown and glove on, and then by then, once the patient has been prepped and is ready to go, the surgeon will come in. You would gown and glove the surgeon, and then the patient gets draped, and then you pull your stuff up to the sterile field, and from there the surgery starts, and you're in there for the long haul. You're passing all the instruments to the surgeon. But the biggest thing is you're the one that's anticipating what they need next constantly, and that comes with time. I'm just an intern. I just started, like I said, I just graduated. I've been here for a couple months now as a CST, so I'm still learning every day. But it's very rewarding. You really feel like you're making a difference. So it's very rewarding, and I'm very happy. And I'm looking to continue to grow. There's also something, I don't know if you want to talk about that, like a CSTFA. So there's always room for growth, and just living the life right now.
Yeah.
I love it, so.
Thank you, Jen. That was great. Fantastic. So we want to hear from you. That is the end of the presentation we have. So please use that Q&A box at the bottom of your screen to ask any questions that you have. As well, here are all of our presenters' contact information. Again, this will be emailed out to you when we send out the presentation and the recording. So I'm gonna stop sharing now because you'll get this in an email, and we'll turn it over to Q&A here. So it looks like the first question we have might be best for you to answer, Corey, and that is, do you guys have childcare centers for employees?
So we do not currently have a childcare center here in Venice. We have the childcare center in Sarasota. It certainly is something as we're growing here that we are looking into, but we do not have one as of today.
Okay, good to know. Another question we have, sort of discussing administrative support positions, sort of what sort of working hours, this individual has children and daycare in the area is full and expensive. Are there options to work nights only?
Absolutely. So a position that I think might be a good one for you to look at is the patient registration medical records position. If you like administrative type roles, we definitely have a night shift. You'll see when you look on our website and it shows the shift, you'll want to look for the number 3. Third shift means overnight, typically 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. Sometimes they have some roles that are 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. So just an 8-hour shift. But there are lots of roles that happen overnight. Patient safety are overnight. We have some environmental services positions overnight. So you may even decide, hey, I want to do something different than administrative that just works with my schedule right now until we have better childcare. And so I can take a look, and for you could call me and I could tell you everything that we have that's on the third shift.
Fantastic. Are there, speaking of opportunities, part-time opportunities for sterile processing assistants?
Yes.
Yes.
Judy, I don't know,
That's
you might want to take that one.
Yeah, that's another department that's open 7 days a week, 24/7. And so, yes, there are opportunities. One of the things I think that healthcare offers is for the working mom, right? I had 3 kids, and I was fortunate. My husband worked during the day and I worked at night, and we didn't have to use childcare. But there's a lot of creative scheduling and opportunities to kind of fit what the family needs. Absolutely.
Great. Another question we have is, what kind of hours do surgical techs typically work? And does that include weekends?
That's the operating room is open Monday through Friday. We call that prime time. So typically that's 7 to their prime time is up until 7 p.m. and then we have an on-call team after hours. So that department does have some weekend scheduling needs, and that usually includes on-call. So they might have their work week, whether it's a part-time schedule or a full-time schedule. But then there's some on-call needs that role would have.
Great, thank you.
One thing to talk about scheduling, we definitely do self-scheduling, right? So as employees, we have a system that's an electronic scheduling platform where employees go in and put their preferred schedule in. And so then the leaders review that, make sure that the department's well covered. And then that's posted. So employees have the opportunity to pick to some degree their work schedule.
That's fantastic. Talking a little bit more about like sterile processing, if I'm correct, that doesn't require a certification. It's just a high school diploma. Is that correct?
Yes.
They have an entry role that's a high school diploma, and then within that, team members can achieve their certification, which isn't like going to a body for education. It's something that they prepare for, and it's an exam, but it elevates their growth. And so they pop into a different role, which has an adjustment with their pay. But that's something that they can do on their own through taking a test to get the certification.
Got it. And then Corey, do the local schools you partner with offer that training or certification? I know they do for surgical tech.
So we assist our sterile processing assistants with getting that certification. We
Fantastic.
take care of that whole process for them. They would not need to go to an outside school.
Right.
That's great.
And there would be no charge for that for them. That's all part of working here.
That's awesome. What about, are there any professional or paraprofessional positions for degree holders?
Yes, of course. So, I just would want to look and see what their degree is and what they're hoping to do. But lots of different departments are looking for someone with a degree. And even just recently in perioperative services, we hired someone. The position didn't require a degree, but she has a degree in healthcare administration. And we were able to give her 4 years of extra experience credit because she does have the degree, even though that wasn't required.
That's great. That's great to hear. Wonderful. Well, that is the end of our Q&A session, unless there are any last minute questions. But oh, we got one here. Perfect. Feel free to enter any questions before we end today. Not related to sort of the clinical side, but Corey, are there any HR positions open?
Actually, I do have one part-time position it's called a PRN position, which means it's sort of as needed. And right now with opening the tower, we're anticipating the next few months to be pretty busy for us. So we're looking for someone who could make a commitment, maybe 12 to 16 hours a week from October to April, maybe longer than that, but we just want to be upfront and honest that that's what we're anticipating those needs. And that's an administrative type role.
Fantastic. Wonderful. Well, thank you all for joining today. Thank you to the panelists. Oh, one more question. Perfect. How do I get started?
So you'll see, Linda, on the bottom of the slide that shows all of our email addresses. You'll see our web address. It's www.smh.com/careers. Oh, Brent's a genius. He's got it up there. So that's where you'll go to look for all of the jobs that we have available. And you can just take a look through and see, do any of these things sound exciting to me? Do I meet the requirements for these positions? And if so, please apply for them. If you're having a hard time and you're looking for things and you're not finding what we were talking about, or you're having a difficult time, just give me a call or send me an email. I think I listed my email address on the slide. So just send me an email and I will get back in touch with you. I'll take good care of you, I promise.
Wonderful. And then we got another question to come in. That was, are these positions permanent or temp with no benefits? I know we talked about both part-time and full-time receive benefits. But can you elaborate on if they're, permanent roles or temp or contract?
Sure. Sure. So we have what's called per diem as needed employees, and those do not come with benefits. And then we have part-time and full-time. The majority of our positions are part-time and full-time and do come with benefits. But there are a few positions that are per diem. They might just need you 1 or 2 days a week. And for somebody who's maybe going to school full-time, that might be a good fit for you. So I could talk with you about that. If you say, I absolutely need part-time or full-time and I absolutely need benefits, then you just want to avoid any of the job listings that have the letters PRN, because those do not come with benefits.
Fantastic. Excellent. Well, again, thank you to everyone that tuned in today for this fantastic presentation. Thank you to all of our panelists for coming today and letting us learn more about SMH and career opportunities. Again, if everyone will just stay on for 1 extra minute, answer a survey, we really, really appreciate it. Thank you all for your time today, and I hope everyone has a great rest of your day. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.